Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today I'm here at Platinum Autos here in beautiful Perth, Western Australia, to tell you why I think the original Audi R8 is the best value used supercar in the country. Just again, guys, a huge thank you to Platinum Autos for loaning me this R8 for the day. Please check out their website, platinumautos.com.au. The link is in the description below. Now, the Audi R8 is a two-seater mid-engine supercar that uses Audi's famous Quattro all-wheel drive system. Under the glass in this car, we have a 4.2-liter naturally aspirated V8 engine pumping out a solid 420 horsepower and 317 pound-foot of torque. 0 to 60 times in this car are 4.6 seconds. And now that's pretty solid considering this car is almost 13 years old. And just look at this car. This honestly looks better than the Audi R8 that's in production right now. The original R8 design has just got that real timeless look about it. And I honestly think this is going to become a future classic just off this beautiful timeless look alone. Launched back in 2006, the R8 rocked the motor industry with its sleek styling and impressive numbers. The R8 is still in production today, though many of the newer models have had multiple facelifts and now the offering of a V10 engine. When this car was first sold here in Australia, it cost over $260,000 before options. Now their price on the used market is somewhere around $120,000, and that's putting this car at near arm's reach for a lot of people. What could you get for $120,000? Well, you could go get yourself a BMW M4, a Nissan GT-R, or even a similar aged Aston Martin Vantage. But there's just something about this Audi R8 that really gives you that supercar feeling. Just look at this thing, and I mean it, when you drive this car around, people stop and stare. This really gives off the impression of that it's worth a lot more money than it actually is now. Just bringing you to the front end here, the R8 was really revolutionary when it came to the front headlights here. The styling of this car was just unheard of when it first came out, and the R8 was the world's first production car to offer full LED headlights. And these daytime running lights were so distinctive back then, and nowadays just about every automaker does this. Just coming to the side of the R8 here, we've got this beautifully indentated door running down into this fully functioning side air intake. Just gets lots of air in there for the engine to breathe. Side blade here on both sides, and they really set this car off with that subtle two-tone look. And personally for me, I think it goes really well with the whole styling of the car. So I just want to bring your attention to the boot of this car. So like we said, it's a mid-engine car, so the engine is actually at the back. So simply enough, you just lift this up and you're presented with a fairly small boot. Now, you're not going to get any golf bags or anything in here, but you know, if you're just going to the grocery store or a small weekend trip, this might just be enough. You've got a nice light in here, so if at nighttime, give you some light to see, obviously. You've got a 12-volt plug. This is actually where you top up your washer fluid. And under the floor here, you've got all your emergency gear. No spare tire, obviously, in this car, just fix a flat. Just coming to the back of the R8 here, this is where the magic happens. This is where Audi shows off so well that beautiful 4.2-liter naturally aspirated V8. This engine bay looks spectacular. And this particular car has the carbon fiber pack, so everything in here is carbon fiber. And then you just see that beautiful V8 engine in the middle. Audi has just done such a good job of showing this car off, and it is really a work of art. Funny thing to mention though is that when you look straight down the guts of this car, the engine is slightly to the left. And now Audi has done this on purpose just to make sure that this car is perfectly balanced. And when you take this out on the road, remember, this only has 420 horsepower, so it's not that much in today's standard. But when this thing is out on the road, the handling, the quattro all-wheel drive, and that 420 horsepower just come together so beautifully to really make this thing supercar level still. So we're in the Audi R8 here. Now, this does feel like a pretty typical Audi, but I kind of think that's a good thing because Audi is known for quality and reliability, and everything in here, the leather, it's all Napa leather. It's really soft, really feels nice. And just the whole interior in here is just really simple and clean. And it's just got a really good feel in here. Nice thing to see that this is a little bit more special is you got the gated shifter here. This thing just looks so awesome. Feels amazing to shift. You get that nice click every time you go. Love how there's still a standard e-brake here. Really glad to see that. Obviously this is an older car, so they still had these. Don't know why we got these electronic things now. Gauges, yep, they're nice gauges. You know, you've just got your basic setup. It's fairly similar to any other Audi. Another nice touch to mention here is this car's got the Alcantara option, so the whole roof liner is Alcantara. It just gives it a really nice, luxurious feel. Seats, super comfortable seats. Now, these are lightly bolstered. They're not super aggressive, but they're very comfy, and the leather is just so soft. Like, this is the car that you can do a really long road trip in, no problems at all. So that's a really another good touch. Coming up to the sun visors, you got these really small sort of sun visors. They're kind of comical, but they do just what you need. Obviously, you're quite low in this car, and the roof seems to come quite a lot forward, so that's plenty. It's cool that they sort of fold towards you instead of down. That's a cool little touch. Again, you've got the Bang & Olufsen speaker system in here. Top-notch audio. Navigation, let's just not worry about that. This is a 13-year-old car. It feels 13 years old in this aspect. Something cool, though, to talk about. I do like the simplicity of the climate controls here. You just have 3 easy-to-use buttons. One's for where you want the air to come out of, how strong you want it, and what temperature. I like the simplicity. Very nice job, Audi. Just coming to the buttons down below the gated shifter, we've got a suspension button here to just stiffen everything up if you want. You've got a button to raise and lower the rear spoiler. Obviously your 4-ways, traction control off, and you have your parking sensors on or off. Now, coming down here, we do have an ashtray. Now, these aren't really put in cars anymore, but if you don't smoke, just close it. No need to worry. 2 cup holders. You've got, 2 sort of normal-ish size cup holders, and then you've got this sort of really baby, maybe like a Red Bull can size. Not sure what that is for. Maybe for your coffee mug or something if it's going through. And then here, you've got your very small console. Now, there used to be a mobile phone in this car. Obviously, nowadays, you can't use a mobile phone in here, so that is removed. And you're left with sort of a very maybe 2-inch shallow center console here, but nevertheless, you know, you could chuck your phone or some keys in there. Now behind the seats here, we've got a bit of a shelf here. It's not the best, but if you needed to chuck, you know, a small bag or something back here, you've got a little bit of space to do that. It would have been nice to see a net back there. Unfortunately, I don't see one in this particular model. So, like I said, if you got a bigger bag or something, you can squish it behind the seat. So that's it for the inside of the R8, guys. Let's get this thing out on the road and see how she goes. All right, so driving the 2008 Audi R8. All right, so just straight away, one thing I'm noticing with the R8, the steering is really heavy. It's got sort of that nice feel. The shifter is awesome. Really love the gated shifter in this. The clutch pedal is pretty nice too. It's got a pretty good feel. Comes on quite high though. This thing feels good. This car, it just feels so solid. Like even the steering, like I don't even have to touch the wheel and it's just going dead straight. The Germans sure know how to build these. The one thing I sort of noticed about this car though that probably would help it is just the exhaust note. The exhaust note on this car is not the best. It's got a nice rumble. You can definitely hear the V8 right behind you, but unless you're actually outside of the car, it's just a little bit quiet in here. But man, it's got a great feeling, this car. You really got that mechanical feel with this gated shifter. And everything is just super easy. It's not overly complicated in this car. And just the seats are just so comfortable. This car just around the corners just feels so planted. It's got the same chassis as the Lamborghini Gallardo, same transmission. One thing I'm gonna pick on this car a little bit about is the pedals for me are just a little bit close together. So if you've got larger feet, you might find yourself accidentally tapping the wrong pedal, but it does make it fairly good for doing some heel-toe action here. It's just amazing as well of how good this car is going over the bumps. Like, it's not a jerky car. The throttle is so smooth. The changes feel excellent. And this thing just soaks up the road surprisingly well. All right, just pulling onto the highway here. For 120 grand, just look what you're getting in this car. A mid-engine, you know, you've got a Lamborghini chassis, Lamborghini gearbox, Audi build quality, like all-wheel drive. This thing is super comfortable inside. Can daily this. It's a daily supercar, guys. And for 120 grand, and you get looks like this, a car that looks like this, you just can't get for 120 grand. To me, this is just a no-brainer, guys. If you want that supercar look, supercar feel with that daily practicality, there's just not many other options. This car is just aged so well, and it still holds up to modern day standards. Like, this thing drives spectacularly, and this car is only going to get better with age. You got to give it to Audi. They really created a masterpiece when they built this R8. And this original series, I personally think, is the best one. So that's the original Audi R8. To me, this is the best value used supercar on the Australian market today. Just look at this thing. Audi just built this car so well. They just were ahead of their time back then. The build quality of this car, the feel of everything, it's just so luxurious and just feels so well built. Every button and knob you turn, it's just got that really solid feel about it. I love how the engine is just so well presented in the back, and just this overall iconic shape of the car is just one of my all-time favorites in the entire car industry. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe.